committed to internet forever.
That's good. So are you gonna first say that how people can find it?
Yeah, I mean, it's on Aggregate Space Gallery's YouTube channel, and it would be listed as the current live event. But maybe it's. Is it going yet? See? Lane, leaping to action. You're just fantastic. Okay. I think that's up.
That brings good luck anyway. I've been told.
I think it's up currently. Welcome to the second Saturday Artist Talk. This is the first second Saturday Artist Talk to occur not outside of, not within the very first existence of Aggregate Space Gallery at 801 West Grand, which we do not exist there anymore. So we're in the immediate moment on the hunt for a new space, and temporarily poised here at Warehouse 416 in Oakland, at what we call Aggregate Spaceship, which I don't know who came up with that, but it's so good. So we're taking off from our first place and trying to land at another one. I am so lucky to be here with the Collegi sisters, with Lane and Sophie, who curated the show. I just to talk a little bit about what the second Saturday Artist Talk is. This is going to be really short. It'll be like, at most maybe an hour. We're going to talk about all things non-art, and a few things about art. But for the most part, this is to lend a little bit of perspective about the exhibition, which we will open the door to as this talk wraps up. We'll clean up this room, and you guys will be able to check out the work itself, 55, 56. We'll just kind of see how this goes. So there's no need for anybody to be nervous. This is just about having a nice chat. So we're going to just kind of work down the line. Why don't we just all introduce ourselves and talk about our relationship with the gallery and how we met. I'm going to start, and then we'll go to Lane. So I'm Conrad Myers. I'm the co-founder and the director of Aggregate Space Gallery. I'm not sure how many of these we've done, but I've hosted this, I think, somewhere around 30 times over the years. This is our 63rd exhibition, and hopefully we will have many more. Lane and Sophie, this exhibition itself is the culmination of the Aggregate Space Gallery Exhibition Fellowship, which this time was two wonderful people, Lane and Sophie. Lane?
Hi, my name is Lane Corfield. I'm currently a senior at St. Mary's College of California. My major is something called Integral Liberal Arts, which is basically a classics and great books and philosophy program. I got involved with Aggregate like almost exactly a year ago. I signed up for a quarter credit class at school in which one of the requirements was just go to a gallery like a few times and like see how it's run. So I went a few times and then stayed for a little more than a few times. And so really it just sort of turned into this through like a positive turn of events. That's about it. I'm in the process of applying to grad schools for history and philosophy of science and technology. Yeah.
Thank you, Lane.
I'm the other co-fellow. My name is Sophia Foyer, and we, I think, actually started working at ASG around the same time. I had just become a root division studio artist, and obviously Conrad and Will are super connected to root division, and that's kind of how I learned about ASG. I was new to the Bay Area from New York, but yeah, just kept popping up. Especially being at root division, and yeah, I started helping with the video open call last year, which is we were just heading into where we held an open call for video submissions and then kind of curated a show based on what we got. So yeah, and then we just stuck around.
word. I moved to US 4 years ago almost. I studied physics, my like bachelor degree, and then I moved to art, and then moved to US to get my master's in UC Berkeley. And yeah, I make all kinds of. I mean, I started with photography, but then I moved to video, and then sculpture suddenly. And then me and, I mean, we will talk about that, how we work together. But, yeah, like recently we work mostly like making sculptures and videos and installations and, yeah.
Hey guys, I'm Bahar Khalidi, like she said, we're sisters. I came to the US in January 2015 for getting my master in San Jose State University in photography. I got my bachelor in painting in Iran. I did painting when I was in Iran. After I moved, I never did painting at all. Then I came to San Jose. I did photography for, I don't know, 1 semester. After that, we worked together for making video. I mostly worked on sculpture. Then, yeah, installation, sculpture, and now this show is our first collab. I don't know. Before we had collaboration too, but this one was first solo show ever, like official.
Sorry
Yeah.
to interrupt, but from YouTube they're saying, please speak up.
Oh, is it?
Oh.
Thank you, YouTube. Gee whiz, how wonderful. Okay. It actually might be in part because of this thing sitting aside. So this is another endless experiment of trying to make this stuff all work better. Okay, is that, yeah, hopefully that's a little bit better. Thank you for whoever commented that. It's probably Willis. All right, the other co-founder who could not make it today is watching this from Vallejo, off in the far land of Vallejo. A little bit more about, so the fellowship is designed to be this experience for artists to really get their hands dirty and to be a part of an exhibition from the early conception of it all the way through to basically this event. Willis and I never wanted to give anybody the preconception that being a curator is something that's easy or something that's relaxing or something that's stress-free or something that's only thoughtful. The idea that it is something with which you really need to make a lot of decisions, and you need to really work with artists in difficult ways, and you need to make more complicated decisions, but then you have to make sure that the exhibition is as perfect as it can be. You need to get the walls painted, you need to sweep the floors, you need to make sure the food at the events looks great and that all the video documentation works well. And these two were like absolutely unbelievable the entire process, and so I'm just really honored that like you guys are still here, even though you both started for other reasons. You merged into the exhibition fellowship position and ended up being really, really great, and put up with us having to move out of our space and trying to find a new space, and ending up finding ourselves here at Warehouse 416 and making this all work. So anyway, that aside, how in your collaboration did you come across the Kaliki sisters?
Well, it was a whole learning, process for us. How, some of the questions like how do we begin? How do we come up with this idea and then find like what could the process be? And through the mentorship of Shagya and Wilson Conrad, they like kind of helped us kind of through the beginning stages.
And we had talked a lot about common interests we share, and one of the kind of like weird things that we both shared was this fascination with like the bodily and like how that kind of comes across in art. And so we saw once at President Minnesota Street Project where there was a show and their work was in it, and so we kind of were just talking.
And I think we saw your work at Root Division. It just we kept seeing it and really liked it and thought that it was an interesting dynamic to what we've been talking about. Obviously, the body is important in your work, and then we did a studio visit with you both and some other artists, and at the time, and yeah, just I think what we talked about and the relation to like Iranian folklore, like even in the work that you were doing before, like folklore and its relation to our conception of body was really, really interesting to us, and that was, you know, that inclusion of history as well in our present conceptions of body was just so interesting, and I think
And we got very excited, like thinking, well, we can do this, we can do that. We always wanted to, like, I don't know, make the space and like do, like, it's not very easy to, a lot of galleries don't even have, like, you know, the minimum, like, I don't know, like a monitor or like projection, like they don't have it. And so we really always wanted to do something like more, I mean, I think we could explore this more, but like, we were thinking about, oh, we can do this, we can do that, we can have this sound under this video, so got really excited, and yeah.
Can you describe the work at Root Division to everybody? And was that was a collaboration between the two?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was my thesis show,
Okay.
Corporeal Couture. It was a verbal sculpture about women's body that I had a vagina pants. I made a vagina pants and bra with the long breast. And that was kind of collaboration because the way that we collaborate, we mostly talk about our idea
Mm-hmm.
and we help to help make it. That's why, you know, even not for, I mean, that was for my thesis show, but still that was collaboration.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I mean, what I was gonna say. You wanna ask me how? I mean, what was the idea?
Yeah, well, I mean, just describe what was the presentation?
Um,
It was that, and then there was also like a performance of like
Oh,
wearing
yeah.
this wearable,
Uh-huh.
the performance of the laughter that like the
She
eternal
performed
laughter.
that.
I performed that. So yeah, that was like a exploration of like grotesque feminine body, and we have that in this work too. And then, so yeah, that, and then in Minnesota there was a different work that I did, but
Can you talk about grotesque feminine body and what it means to this exhibition? Is
This
that too much of a? I guess actually ignore this exhibition. What do you mean by grotesque feminine body?
Well, I think, I mean, I don't know, like, I'm interested in general, and we're both interested in, like, not necessarily feminine. I mean, we come across, like, we do, like, female bodies. Like, sometimes it's not specifically female. Sometimes it's, like, you can't say, like, it transits between the two genders, and it's, like, not really, or not two genders, but, like, but mostly you could say it's feminine, and I just really like abject art in general,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel like there's this like in this work we have the bodies that are we trying to make them disgusting. I don't see them as disgusting anymore. I think some people might, but with videos we try to make it more like the way, because we can't use like liquids and stuff in the gallery. We were thinking about it. We were like, or smell, things like that. We were talking about it, but we thought we can't
Maybe in the
probably do
future.
that. Yeah, maybe yeah. But with video, we're more like it's easier to do that, and it's just like I'm very fascinated with this idea of how abject art disrupts the order, like order in a like with capital O,
Mhm.
like this whole, because we have this interest in. I mean, we really talk about, like, when we work, we talk about we start with this like inspiration, this like yeah, the women in heaven. It's like more like an excuse
Uh-huh.
than being like the main like message or meaning behind the work. We just start with that, but then like on an everyday basis, things happen. We're constantly talking to each other, constantly texting or like talking, and like anything that happens that it's all really crazy, I think, I think, make art to try to process that, like try to like understand what's happening, and then it comes as disgusting, I think, because it is like crazy, and then doesn't make sense. Like the world is not making sense at the moment. I don't know if it ever did, but so we kind of and then the logic, like we feel like we think that we have this logic in our systems and everything, but it doesn't. It's not very logical. So we try to break that, basically, making something that's like when you see like bodily fluids, or even like fluids, like food on body and stuff, it's the feeling of it. It's the, I don't know, like it breaks the order, and
Right.
Right? Like
I think that's what I was kind of trying, hoping that you kind of find your way there, because I think the idea of like the disgusting female body is not a real, it's a construct that you are addressing in this work, that these are normal things that everybody is going through. The fact that when associated with a female body, that it would become disgusting is just something that we've all invented, or something that we've all just accepted as an invention. So thanks for kind of wondering over there. I find this entire subject really fascinating, and I love that you guys are looking at it most certainly with a political view, but addressing it very apolitically with a level of cartoonishness. Like, can you talk a little bit about those influences? Like, maybe not necessarily the disgusting part, but of how like, where do these forms come from that are very difficult not to smile when you're looking at them, even if you are a little disgusted? Can you talk a little bit about like the influence of humor in the work, or how it got there?
So in this work, we got some signifiers, like we call this show, should we talk about that, the title?
Yeah.
55, 56, 55 is the number of the Surah Ar-Rahman in Quran, it's the number of that Surah, and 56 is the number of the ayah,
the verse that
verses,
talks
yeah,
about this.
that's the, we have it actually in our card, if I have it, I can just read it.
And I also talk about
Sorry,
Oh,
okay, I can't be the
jeez.
only person, don't shut me. In them, gardens are women, limiting their glances, untouched before them by man or genie. Ayah 56, Surah Ar-Rahman. And this is kind of signifiers we just, like this, or even foods is the other signifier. We have it in Quran and in heaven. They talk about like the food that prepared right now, like grapes or olives, apples, and the other, the turban too.
Also we just take these, and they are funny. Like it's just like they're absurdly funny, all the stories and stuff. And then we just mix them without really having a specific message. We just mix these signifiers, and like we try to make the work like, yeah, cartoonish, or like something that you want to touch it, something that you want to, it's soft sculpture, so you can, it's like kind of huggy, it's like cute, but at the same time it's like menacing or threatening, or like it's like the tension between these like
Right.
feelings, I guess.
We had kind of, about addressing the topic apolitically, as you said, that was something we had kind of thought a lot about in terms of what we were going to title the show, and in terms of what, sort of little verse we were going to put in, if we were going to put in a verse from the Quran or somewhere else, and we ultimately decided to add in a verse from the Bible, Corinthians. And sort of this is something that Sophie had brought up when we were talking about it early on, but almost like universality of like the influence of folklore and sort of fairy tales through all cultures, and how those are sometimes things that are presented to you in either a satirical or like fabulistic manner, and depending on how it goes, you either accept them seriously and follow them, or you take them just as like folklore.
Yeah, and I think that's when talking about the humor in both your work, to like embracing the absurdity that those signifiers or elements have over time is really interesting. And yeah, also thinking about, I like the way that you put it, that this is kind of an excuse, this looking at this, you know, show as an excuse. It's to continue this line of questioning that I think is really apparent in both of your work, in that, you know, by portraying these bodies as disgusting, but also, you know, the sculptures are gorgeous. That was my first reaction to seeing the work at Root Division, was that something so obviously it's supposed to be disgusting and is disturbing, but is also so beautiful and done with so much care. It's not done in an aggressive way in some art, where it's like trying to portray the disturbing and in kind of like a violent way. It's also, it has an element of care to it. So I think that has been very apparent, because once we started curating, the work changed. We didn't, you know, you were going in one direction and then came to us with, this is actually the new direction, which was so exciting also. But it was all in the same kind of line of questioning that I think, like, you know, it's just, like, I feel like we just got it. Like, I understood what you're trying to do. Not that there was, like, you know, there was an explanation or something, but understanding the questioning that you're doing is really cool. I think one just kind of, like, funny story that I always forget is on our studio visit, we were just talking, we ended up, like, talking about David Lynch and, like, this weird scene from Eraserhead where this woman is standing on stage and, like, stomping on, like, sperm-like creatures that are falling from the sky, and it's just, like, we were just laughing, and I feel like I really appreciate the element of humor in your work, even though it addresses things that are quite serious.
Can you, so just to backtrack a minute, can you talk about what the previous direction was? What were you guys considering doing before you switched direction?
I don't remember. I mean,
Yeah.
really, there wasn't any clear direction. It was like, well, the space was also changing. Like, it was, we didn't know exactly where we're gonna be, and then based on that, like initially in my mind, I had this old like aggregate in mind. So like based on that, I was designing the thing, and then we realized, oh, it's very different from that.
Yeah.
It's gonna be that space. So we're like, okay, let's change it this way and that way. And then we thought we're thinking about a bunch of different like other spaces before we decided it's gonna be here. So it really changed a lot based on where the space is gonna be. And but the general idea didn't change that much. It was just like how we make the space, and then we came into this idea of bathroom like toward the end. It wasn't supposed to be bathroom.
Yeah, I think you were looking at like from at least that specific moment that we came into, you know, this narrative, I guess, of what you were working on. You were thinking about, if I remember correctly, like looking at a specific story from, you know, Iran that is kind of repeated in different cultures, and looking at those disturbing elements of certain kind of well-known fables and things like that. And, but it was still quite general, And so I think this is still in that line, addressing from kind of like a religious text, you know, essentially the same approach but a different text, if you will.
Can you guys talk about some of your influences?